Welcome back to Great Day. With the end of the year approaching, many of us begin to reflect and make plans for the new year. One of the most important things to plan for, you've likely either not thought of or you're putting it off completely. Here to speak about the importance of pre-planning your life's final arrangements, Reverend Eric Wilson Sr. and Alexander Williams Sr. with Dignity Memorial. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. It's good
All right. Both of you are in the funeral business, Carl Barnes and Lockwood Funeral Homes. And before the segment we were talking about, I bet y'all seen some things.
Yes, we have.
We have.
It could be a reality show.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And the reason why a lot of times is because of all the drama is because people didn't pre-plan. It's important to pre-plan. It's not comfortable for a lot of folks, but it's important to do that. Both of you have full service, spacious areas for people to come in, sit down with the funeral professional, and then plan that last big party, whether it's 5 people there or 500 people there. I want to ask both of you, though, first, Eric, what was your first funeral experience?
My first funeral experience was a gentleman that lived next door to us that died putting out the trash.
Oh, wow.
And I saw him, I was about 6 years old. I saw him lying at the street level by the garbage cans, didn't understand what was going on.
Yeah.
Ran in, told my mom that Mr. Butler had passed. And that, Mr. Butler was at the street.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we had the funeral after that, you know. So he was a great guy because he would always, he worked nights. He worked nights, so he would let us play in his backyard during the day. And everybody would tell us to be quiet, but he would let us play.
Yeah.
So it was kind of traumatic for me to see him like that.
And the thing is, that was probably no one expecting it, and that's kind of the point we're making right now. Is a lot of times, you make the plans while you can,
That's
because
correct.
Things can happen when you're not expecting it. What led you to go into the funeral business?
I followed my brother to the funeral business, and he allowed me to serve him and serve the community.
Yeah.
And because of that, I've been doing it now about 38 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Alexander, your first funeral experience?
My first funeral experience, I was 7 years old, and I had an aunt who passed away. And I remember my family gathering for her services. That was probably the first experience I had.
Yeah, and how did you kind of metabolize that? What did it mean then?
I saw the sadness, but also the celebration of life in it.
Yeah.
You know, how we honor our loved ones.
And more of us now are looking at that celebration of life.
Right.
I grew up kind of around the world, and at every country I was in, it was a big celebration.
Right.
But when I was here in America, it was like everyone was so sad. All right, what led you to go into the industry?
Well, let me go into I ended up growing up behind a funeral home.
Oh, wow.
So in my grandmother's house, there was a funeral right across our back fence. And so I watched those guys do what they did for several years. And it was an armed profession. I watched them washing the cars on Fridays. I see the guys come to work on Saturdays in the black suits, white shirts, and that was heaven to me.
Yeah.
And so that was at the point I knew what I wanted to do with my life. I didn't go right into it, but I got here as quickly as I could.
As quickly as you could. All right, how do we start the conversation? That's probably the toughest part.
I think you start the conversation by presenting the fact that death is a part of life, and that eventually we all have to face this reality, and if you can get folks to begin to soften their attitudes about that transition, typically you can get them to understand the value of a pre-need.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was having this conversation with some friends of mine the other day, and as we started talking, at first it was uncomfortable, but then we started laughing so hard about what we would have. I was like, yeah, and then everybody's got to have this because you always this, right? And then one of my friends, we were like, yeah, and we got to tell the people that, let's see, in honor of you, we're going to show up 30 minutes late to your funeral because you always show up late to everything, right? So we just had so much fun with that. So you encourage people to sit down and talk with the funeral professionals such as yourselves, and tell stories so you get an idea of what that person loves. For example, there's so many ways you can personalize it.
Correct.
What was your favorite color? What was your favorite song?
Correct.
We had a gentleman who was a big Astros fan, so everyone showed up in their Astros gear, and to the point where somebody said, "There's a game today?" It was like, well, no, the game's not today, but we're celebrating something else. All right, so start with inspiration.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's what you say. Start with inspiration.
Yeah, you start with inspiration. You use your creativity, your own idealism to pick up vibes from them as what's important to them and how they can make this more of a celebration and more of something that's fitting versus something that's sad.
Yeah, and then addressing some of those other kind of really important questions. And I remember watching a friend of mine when they asked this question, and she really didn't know the answer. It was like, are we talking burial or cremation?
Right. There's so many options when it comes to those.
Yeah, and of course the other thing too is when you're looking at the cost, but sometimes cremation can be less than doing a full-on burial, right?
That is correct. That is correct. Yeah, yeah. Cremations are trendy now. They used to be very taboo back in the day, but now they're very trendy. A lot of families are opting for cremations versus burials.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We say this is planning your last big party. There are lots of moving parts, just like when someone plans a wedding a year out,
Right.
or what kind of big your 60th birthday party a year out. There are lots of moving parts that you all can help us with. For example, if you're talking about music, where's the music coming from? Right?
Right.
If you're talking about food, can you help us with catering services and things like that?
Yeah.
Right. We're a full service facility. We can help with all of it. A lot of times families are like, well, can we play this song? Can we do this? Can we do that? And we believe in letting our families honor their loved one the way they choose to honor them.
Yeah.
And so the question is not always, can we do it, but how can we do it? How can we personalize it for them?
Right.
Yeah, and there's a lot to be said for prepaid plans, because how many times do you come across families struggling to figure out how they're going to pay for it?
Too many times, far too many times. And it's great that the industry has developed a path to where they don't have to face that all at one time.
Yeah.
And that's what pre-planning is.
Yeah, and prepaid planning and prepaid, right?
Yes.
Exactly,
Yes.
yes.
All right. Dignity has a pre-planning guide. What can that guide help us with?
The guide can help you with your service. It can help you with your type of service. It can help you with your costs for your service, the items, the amenities in your service,
Yeah.
be it a cremation or burial, a catering, or even police escorts. Things that every detail can literally be worked out in your pre-planning.
Yeah,
and then of course your pre-costs as well.
Yeah. And then there are things that that we might not know. And I've said
Right.
this over and over again. When my father was buried, he served 30-something years in the United States Air Force, and they looked at us and said, "Would you like a 21-gun salute?"
Right.
We never
Right.
even thought about that.
Exactly.
And so when we called, they said, "We're not doing that on Saturdays anymore." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And the funeral services director said, "Well, I bet they are." And
Right.
so they got on the
Right.
phone. You're able to facilitate things even when
Right.
we're not able to.
Right.
All right. It starts with calling to schedule an appointment, but you also have quarterly pre-planning seminars. What can we learn in
Oh,
those?
yeah, we actually have a couple coming up this week, and these seminars are designed to inform and educate the public, period. So it's not necessarily for those that are grieving, but for those that are needing to understand better what options they have when it comes down to pre-planning a service.
Yeah.
And so the seminars are very critical, we believe, in this day and age, because this is the information age.
Yeah.
People want to know what they don't know.
Yeah, and every detail. I do know that when it's my time, my mom is going to meet me. I think she's not going to be happy about this, because she wanted to make sure she had a green casket. I'm sure it was the wrong shade, but Mom, it was green.
Yeah.
Right. I'm sure it was the wrong shade. All right. Gentlemen, thank you very much. It
Thank
can be
you.
Thank you.
uncomfortable, but it's one of those things that get it out of the way. And
That's
that way,
correct.
just knowing that when you leave this earth, it is to your liking, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's correct.
You only have to plan once, lay it to rest, and get rid of that stress.
Right.
For more information on memorializing a loved one or personalizing your own celebration of life, reach out to schedule an appointment with a funeral professional at the location nearest you, and download the free planning guide at dignitymemorial.com.